Hello there. I haven't gone very far into Roland Emmerich universe ever since I started it last year. I've only reviewed 2 of his movies so far, so to get more done, this video will have 3 reviews of Roland Emmerich in reverse. So think of this as a triple review. So today, we continue Roland Emmerich in reverse with Stonewall, White House Down, and Anonymous.
I already got you all figured out. Grew up in Kansas, and Mama probably baked apple pies. Yo, everybody, this is Danny.
Stonewall was released in 2015 and is centered around, dubiously, the Stonewall riots, which was a gay liberation movement that started in New York in 1969, but we primarily follow the experiences of one gay man who traveled to New York to escape his homophobic life in Indiana. This is a pretty interesting film for Roland Emmerich to tackle. Roland Emmerich himself is a gay man and has stated that he encountered homophobia during his long career, and I will give Stonewall credit for depicting something as triggering as homophobia. Our lead character is a teenage boy named Danny, who travels to New York to escape homophobic persecution in his hometown, and he befriends other LGBT people as they face violence and other kinds of discrimination. Unfortunately, there isn't that much more to say about the story. We see flashbacks to Danny's life in Indiana, his homophobic father, passive mother, and supportive younger sister, his friends and their antics, a more politically minded gay activist. There just isn't a whole lot that happens. We mainly see what happens in their lives, which can work, but the problem is that the characters are rather stereotypical. It seems rather pointless to criticize Roland Emmerich for using stock characters. I mean, this is Roland Emmerich. He's not exactly known for having compelling characters in his films. It's like criticizing a Terminator film for not having any samurai swords. Okay, you know what? That needs to happen at some point. But I can see how this can be offensive to some. Stonewall does throw in pretty much every gay stereotype. The film doesn't differentiate between gay people and drag queens, and I am aware that drag is often associated with non-heteronormativity, but so many of the gay characters are like this. This is supposed to be a movie about gay people. I know that this is Roland Emmerich, but would it have hurt to have gotten the slightest bit of nuance? Could these characters have gotten maybe one extra dimension? I'm aware that some gay people are naturally flamboyant, but these gay characters go past flamboyant all the way up to cartoony. They feel like something that you'd find in a Family Guy cutaway gag. I am not attacking the actors themselves. All of the actors do a fine job and give these stock characters an ever so slightly greater degree of a soul. Jeremy Irvine gives a performance that makes the fictional Danny Winters feel like a real person. Jeremy Bucamp portrays the very camp Ray and is probably the best part of the movie. I've previously seen this actor on Penny Dreadful and he was good there too. He brings so much life to this character. He's a fan of Judy Garland, but he's seen some dark stuff over the years, but he's still a total queen. Also, Ron Perlman is in this movie. Yep, Hellboy himself. Before the film was released, the promotional trailer was criticized for a perceived lack of people of color, drag queens, butch lesbians, and other minorities. Now, if this would be a deal breaker for you, don't worry. The film does follow a white protagonist, but there's plenty of diversity to be found here. Though there is literally only one lesbian. Kind of bottom of the barrel, no? After the film's failure at the box office, Roland Emmerich blamed accusations of whitewashing and said that Stonewall was, quote, a white event. No, it wasn't. It was a gay event. It wasn't about white people fighting for their right to be white. And New York has always been a diverse place. Though I shouldn't expect historical accuracy from a Roland Emmerich movie. I'll definitely have more to say about this later. perhaps sooner than I realize. In fact, let's briefly discuss the film's historicity. Stonewall is remembered as a significant moment in the pursuit of gay rights. All of the important characters are fictional, and there's very little attention dedicated to people that actually existed, though this could be due to legal issues, but I can't find any information on that. The title Stonewall refers to the Stonewall Inn and Stonewall riots. I did not know that there was a Stonewall Inn. The Stonewall Inn still stands to this day. The movie never establishes what Stonewall is, or if it does so poorly and doesn't leave an impression on the viewer. Which is a problem. Your movie is called Stonewall. Still, for a movie rated 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, I expected much worse. Still yet, this isn't very good. The characters are stock cutouts, there doesn't seem to be a real progression of the plot, and the film overstays its welcome. Despite that, I can't say that this was made without passion, and it kept my interest. For the most part. White House Down, 2013.
There has been an explosion.
Absolutely shocking.
White House Down stars Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx. The actress portraying the daughter of Tatum's character later appeared as the lead character's younger sister in Stonewall. It kind of feels like I should have reviewed this movie months ago for reasons. The movie was released the same year as Olympus Has Fallen, which is another movie about the White House being attacked. White House Down is generally considered to be the better movie. I haven't seen Olympus Has Fallen, so I can't say. But is White House Down good in its own right? White House Down is a hard movie to review. Not because there's so much to say, but because there's so little to say. I'm kind of having a hard time finding a vein to hit. It's pretty shallow and bland and boring. But I'll try to get this to a respectable length. US President James Sawyer, portrayed by Jamie Foxx, has made a proposal to pull the troops out of the Middle East. James Sawyer is a stand-in for former United States President Barack Obama. Obama's proposed military budget from 2016 was $80 billion, and his administration literally bombed Afghanistan thousands of times. Channing Tatum portrays a Capitol Police officer who has to protect President Sawyer from terrorists, which includes white supremacists, and that's all I remember. But Tatum's boss is the mastermind trying to usurp the presidency. His character's daughter is fake Obama's biggest fan, and has to safely traverse the White House when the attack starts, and she's separated from her father. She's pretty much just there to provide fake stakes, but they do establish something fairly early on about her that they do technically pay off. It involves flags. There is characterization, but it's pretty threadbare. Roland Emmerich is known for having richly developed, strong, relatable characters, but this is pretty low even for him. The Obama stand-in is basically Black Jesus, where the real Obama flip-flopped on gay marriage. Sorry, I just hate that Obama is remembered as a progressive. Even though Channing Tatum isn't bad in the role, he doesn't have enough charisma to carry the movie, and his character is pretty shallow. Maggie Gyllenhaal has an opening scene with Channing Tatum's character that adds basically nothing to the overall movie. Jason Clarke is a good actor and has been good in several movies, and portrays a terrorist in this one, but he doesn't have enough opportunities to chew the scenery to leave an impression. He doesn't have much of an intimidating presence either. Not that he can't be intimidating, his character just needed more work in the script. James Woods portrays a special agent, and his character has the most nuance and complexity, which they strip away. One thing that hurts the movie is its slow beginning. Sure, it's important to introduce your characters, introduce your setting, and establish tone, but I think that taking 40 minutes to do all of this is a casual approach, to say the least. It was kind of a cute shout out for the movie to make reference to Independence Day, which features... We'll get there later. Probably a lot later. There are some fun action sequences. The Capitol building explodes, a helicopter crashes through a ceiling and the blades tug on a tour guide's tie, a chase scene involving limos and President Fox wielding a rocket launcher, also a fairly intense climax which involves trying to prevent a nuclear strike from destroying the White House. White House Down is technically well made, well directed, and has all of the actors present doing their best with a weak script. If you want action, it's here. I'm honestly surprised that I've had this much to say about White House Down. Anonymous, 2011. I always admire an artist for trying something different, even if the result doesn't work. Michael Bay, known for action blockbusters, tried his hand at a war drama, and it sucked. Ralph Bakshi, known for animation director towards adults, did direct a few children's films, with one being pretty good. Roland Emmerich, mostly known at this point in his career for huge disaster films and a few disasters, decided that he wanted to try his hand at historical drama. And the results are... mixed. But I honestly do admire ambition, and I'd never deride an artist for trying. But I gotta admit, sometimes it's awkward. Anonymous stars Rhys Ifans, Vanessa Redgrave, Julie Richardson, David Thewlis, Xavier Samuel, Sebastian Amiston, Rafe Spell, Edward Hogg, Jamie Campbell-Bower, Sir Derek Jacobi, and was written by John Orloff. The film asks in its tagline, "Was Shakespeare a fraud?" One thing that irks me in the world of film criticism is hating something on principle. The film earned praise for its acting and visual style, but some criticized it for promoting the Oxfordian conspiracy theory, which proposes that Edward de Vere, the 17th Earl of Oxford, was the true author of Shakespeare's plays. It's a movie. It doesn't pretend to be telling the truth. And if this bothers you and you just can't get past that, well, you're stupid, you're wrong, and I don't respect you. Don't criticize the movie for its conspiracy theories. Criticize it for not being all that great. The film oddly begins with Sir Derek Jacobi arriving at a theatre in New York showing Anonymous and monologuing, "Why is there no record of Shakespeare's manuscripts?" And in a very smooth transition we end up in Elizabethan London, where our movie mostly takes place. One thing that hurts the movie is its time-jumping gimmick. Some movies can do it well. Christopher Nolan pulled it off with Memento and Batman Begins. But there was a reason to those ones. Memento's fractured narrative put us in the same headspace as its protagonist. Batman Begins had other characters trigger flashbacks as memories experienced by Bruce Wayne. Anonymous doesn't handle its non-linear storytelling nearly as well. It just comes across as random and unfocused. This is not a poorly constructed film. In fact, it might be the best film that we've looked at so far in Roland Emmerich in reverse. The sets, the costumes, the cinematography. Roland Emmerich seemed to have brought his A game for Anonymous, at least in terms of the mechanics of filmmaking. He must have cared. Edward de Vere, portrayed by Rhys Ifans, lives a life of luxury, but is compelled to write, so he approaches playwright Ben Jonson to put his name on Edward's works, but the drunkard William Shakespeare ends up taking the credit. We intercut with scenes set in the past featuring a young Edward de Vere, portrayed by Jamie Campbell-Bower, and his relationship with Queen Elizabeth I, portrayed by Jolie Richardson, the real-life daughter of Vanessa Redgrave, who portrays Elizabeth in the present storyline. Well, present in the movie, or the less distant past. It's not as confusing as I'm making it sound, but it still doesn't make perfect sense. Like I said, it's a good looking movie, and all of the actors do a fine job. And I also admire an artist for trying something different, but better artists have made these types of endeavors work better. The characters aren't developed enough, and Roland Emmerich just can't make the fractured narrative work. Roland Emmerich in Reverse will continue with 2012. Right now! Yeah, when I said I'd only review 3 movies of Roland Emmerich in Reverse in this one video, I meant it. But when I saw that 2012 was next in the lineup, I decided I'll do one more, because I care about you people. 2012 was released in 2009, and stars John Cusack, Amanda Peet, Chiwetel Ejiofor. I thought that I recognized him! Oliver Platt, Dewey Newton, Danny Glover, and Woody Harrelson, with a screenplay co-written by Howard Clover and Roland Emmerich. Reviewing 2012 when I did just felt necessary. 2012 can be considered the tail end of what you might refer to as the golden age of Emmerich. So far, it's his last really big hit, as well as his final disaster film, unless you count Independence Day Resurgence. So how does this film work as a swan song, I suppose? 2012's central premise is inspired by the 2012 Doomsday Prophecy. Theory. Because the calendar totally stopping totally means the end of the world, right? The film starts with shots of the sun doing its thing. A geologist travels to India where he's told the sun's radiation is heating up the Earth's core like a microwave. We see various world leaders making plans as far back as 2009. We then see our lead, John Cusack, who has a broken family. He meets Woody Harrelson, who portrays a conspiracy nut who's right about everything. Eventually the world starts going to hell and he has to try to bring his family to safety. John Cusack isn't bad in the movie. He's actually pretty fucking based in real life, as well as a good actor, but he doesn't really bring the right kind of energy to the role. He's a little bit too underplayed. I feel like the movie needed somebody more like Nicolas Cage. The Cage would really go hog wild over the character and bring the necessary energy. Woody Harrelson as the conspiracy nut is fantastic. He's clearly having a lot of fun in this role, and I kind of wish that he was in the whole movie. He knows everything. He's aware of the Mayan prophecy. He knows about the arcs and the incoming disasters. How much more engaging would it be if Cusack's family brought him along? He could give us more information the longer the movie goes. He can reveal more skills along the way, perhaps even be a wild card. Just a thought. There are themes in this movie. It does try to be about things. Kind of. The movie mainly just wants to show off destruction, but I guess that they thought they'd have to make an attempt at substance. At least a token one. The movie explores class but does a very shallow and simplistic look at classism. Very run-of-the-mill, the rich are evil stuff, which, though true, can be done better. Oliver Platt's character admitted that the arcs that humanity survived in were only made because the rich paid for them, and the Chinese workers that built them won't get a seat. Additionally, Oliver Platt's character is odd. His character makes sense, but he's the guy that has to keep humanity going and make a lot of hard decisions. He actually could have been a very interesting and compelling character, but Platt just plays him as unlikable and Emmerich just frames him as bad. It also doesn't help that he's the only person that rationalizes his points of view. No one in the movie makes a compelling argument on the other side. But this is a movie that exists for its own carnage, and the carnage is pretty good. The visual effects are well realized and the actual stuff going on is pretty fun. California basically implodes into the ocean, Yellowstone explodes, there are tsunamis. Unfortunately, it's also kind of repetitive. There are a few set pieces in this movie involving planes. Fair enough. Those set pieces are like 5 minutes apart from each other. Here's how those two set pieces are structured. First set piece, breathe a moment, plane set piece. That's right. You get two set pieces, and they're both planes. I feel like you need to space out multiple plane set pieces. Maybe use trains? 2012 either needed to be more bombastic or more complex, but definitely more creative. So that's this installment of Roland Emmerich in Reverse, covering 4 movies and featuring me on camera. And I think that I'll give this a break for a while. But when Roland Emmerich in Reverse returns, it's with 10,000 BC.